Continuing from the previous episode 662. Chapter 1591. Search. Ow! The hurried warning siren resounded over this world in a deafening manner. It immediately spread apart. It caused the expressions of all the members of the Gu clan suddenly changed drastically. Hun Tiandi. Gu Yuan's expression was icy cold. His eyes stared at Hun Tiandi. The sky had suddenly become a lot dimmer. Vast and mighty natural energy whistled from behind. It connected the sky and land. Looking from a distance, it appeared just like an endless energy tide. Splashing noise resounded continuously. An energy tide was usually formed only when there was an unnatural natural phenomenon occurring. This spectacular scene was also something that the human strength could not reach. However, that energy tide, which might not even be seen in 100 years, was actually formed from a mere thought by Gu Yuan. The strength of a 9-star Do Sheng was actually this frightening. The seemingly endless energy tide churned continuously. That pressure, which came spreading over, caused even Hun Yan and the others who made up the 4 demon saints of the Hun clan to adopt an extremely solemn expression. They did not doubt that if they were to attack, it was likely that they would not even last a few exchanges against Gu Yuan. Their bodies and even their souls would be crumbed into nothing under the frightening pressure. The only ones in this world who could remain calm in the face of the natural tide Gu Yuan had summoned were Hun Tiandi and Nihility Devouring Flame. Clan Head, Elder Gu Yang has injured the Ancestor Hall Elder and stole the ancient jade. Gu Yuan expression was icy. A ray of light suddenly rushed out from deep within the mountain range. A somewhat miserable figure swiftly hurried forward and cried out in a sharp voice. What? The entire Gu clan turned into an uproar after this cry sounded. The eyes of everyone were filled with disbelief. Elder Gu Yang? How is this possible? Xuan'er's face had also changed drastically at this moment as she involuntarily cried out loud. What happened? Could it be that Elder Gu Yang is a spy of the Hun clan? Xiao Yan's expression was gloomy. The Hun clan seemed to greatly specialized in using this trick. Gu Yang is the second elder of the Ancestral Hall. He had guarded the Ancestral Hall for hundreds of years and is extremely loyal to the Gu clan. How can it be possible for him to seal the ancient jade and flee? Xuan'er muttered to herself. From the looks of it, she had once had some contact with that elder Gu Yang. Moreover, her impression of him was quite good. This is done by you? Gu Yuan's icy eyes looked at the smiling Hun Tiandi and slowly demanded. Hun Tiandi grinned. However, he did not open his mouth to say anything. At the same time, he did not have any intention to turn around and leave. A pair of eyes focused on Gu Yuan. As long as he stood here, even Gu Yuan would not dare to simply turn around and leave. This was because the latter understood that should he leave, there would no longer be anyone obstructing him in this place. Gu Yuan naturally understood Hun Tiandi's mind. His icy chill on his face was quickly withdrawn. At this level of his mental fortitude was already as solid as stone. Even the loss of the ancient jade did not cause him to continue remaining furious. Seal the Gu realm. Gu Dao, the 3 of you will lead the Black Submerge army and begin a search. Seek Gu Dao out. Gu Yuan opened his mouth and cried. That's right. The 3 immortals of the Gu realm responded immediately upon hearing this. However, the 3 of them had just moved when the 4 demon saints of the Hun clan behind Hun Tiandi drifted forward. From the looks of it, they were actually intending on stopping the trio. Ha ha, Gu Yuan, these people cannot leave. Hun Tiandi laughed. This is not something for you to decide. Gu Yuan spoke in a cold voice. Immediately, he stepped forward. The seemingly endless energy tide behind him immediately churned uncontrollably. It turned into a 100,000 feet large tidal hand as it slammed towards Hun Tiandi. The space where the palm wind passed trembled intensely. A random strike from such an expert could easily tear the space apart. Oh, are you finally unable to control yourself and wish to fight? However, you should be aware that this has little impact on me. Hun Tiandi smiled after seeing Gu Yuan's earth-shaking-like attack. He lifted his palm and a black hole was formed on his palm. It swelled into 100,000 feet at a shocking speed and directly wrapped around this entire world. Seeing that dark black hole, even Xiao Yan and the others felt a chill rising in their hearts. They did not doubt that if they were to get entangled into it, even their souls would vanish in an instant. The large tidal hand in the distant sky violently collided with the black hole. No earth-shaking loud sound appeared. Only the slightly collapsed spatial lines and the overflowing destructive force was present. If it was not because the GU realm had been reinforced over the thousands of years, this fight between the two would cause the space to be directly torn apart. Seeing that GU Yuan had actually attacked Han Tiandi, the expressions of Yan Jin and Lei Ying became slightly distorted. They exchanged glances before suddenly nodding quietly. The actions of the Hub clan had clearly placed all the ancient clans as their targets. Since they dared to attack the GU clan this time around, the Yan and Lei clan would definitely meet the same fate in the future. Attack! Yan Jin's low cry sounded and the two of them shot out simultaneously. The frightening aura of an 8-star Do Sheng surged directly into the clouds. The pressure from it caused the space itself to emit a slight creaking sound. The might from the simultaneous attack from the both of them was naturally quite strong. After all, with the exception of GU Yuan, Han Tiandi and the Nihility Devouring Flame, they were likely the strongest expert on this continent. While Ya Jin duo were about to attack, the Nihility Devouring Flame, who had been standing still, merely laughed. He took a stride forward, penetrated through the space and appeared in front of the two. Black flame continuously erupted from within his body. Finally, it turned into a couple of huge black dragon fists that lingered around him. A dragon roar shook the sky. Humph! Yan Jin duo snorted coldly after seeing the Nihility Devouring Flame attacked. Although the latter had already stepped into the 9-star Do Sheng class, he was after all only an initial 9-star Do Sheng. On the other hand, the both of them were advanced 8-star Do Sheng. They were not inferior to the Nihility Devouring Flame if they were to join hands. Shu and lead the others and search the mountain. Ji Yu Yang has definitely not managed to escape. Capture him and snatch the ancient jade back. Ji Yu Dao in the sky had a grave expression as he cried out sternly, all remaining elders, set up the great formation to guard the clan. Seal the GU realm and the mountain range. Do not allow the Han clan any opportunity to escape. The many elders in the sky responded in Yuzhen after hearing Ji Yu Dao's stern cry. Those fights present in the sky were merely feeling each other out, but they needed to take precaution against any hidden tactics of the Han clan. Hence, they were unable to split too much attention in lending a hand. Big brother Qing Yang, search the mountain. Shu and had a completely grave expression at this moment. Her pretty eyes turned towards Ji Yu Qing Yang's group as she cried out. Understood. Ji Yu Qing Yang and the upper echelons of the Black Submerged Army immediately acknowledged upon hearing the order. Many black figures surged forward like locusts and entered the mountain range to begin an inch-by-inch search. Xiao Yan's expression became grave as he watched the GU clan being faced with a great enemy in an instant. Although the Han clan did not dispatch a large army this time around, the few people in the sky represented the upper echelon of the Han clan. This lineup was many times stronger compared to when they attacked the Yao clan. Moreover, Xiao Yan also understood that although the fight in the sky seemed to be able to destroy the world, both parties were merely probing each other's strength or perhaps delaying the time. The reason that they are delaying time was clearly because of Ji Yu Yang. The Han clan seemed to be dragging things out until Ji Yu Yang show himself and hand the ancient jade to them, while the Ji Yu clan was delaying time to search for that person and snatch back the ancient jade. Hence, the most important factor in this seemingly intense fight was Ji Yu Yang, who had stolen the ancient jade. Shu and what is Ji Yu Yang's strength like? Xiao Yan's eyes looked over this mountain range. Although the Black Submerged Army was searching all over the place, there was no reply from them even until now. He immediately frowned and asked. Advance 5-star Do Sheng class. Shu and clenched her teeth. This Ji Yu Yang could be considered to be one of the stronger individuals within the GU clan. Who would have expected that he would actually do such a thing? Has his soul reached the perfect heavenly state? Xiao Yan once again asked. I don't think so. There is perhaps still some gap to the perfect level. Shu and mused for a moment before replying. Training one's soul to the perfect heavenly state was not an easy task. Help me stand guard. Xiao Yan quickly narrowed his eyes upon hearing this. He directly sat down in the air and instruction. Seals were formed by his hands and his soul once again merged with little Yi. Immediately, his originally majestic spiritual strength had actually soared once again. Invisible spiritual strength spread in all direction from Xiao Yan's brow like floodwater. Finally, it swiftly scanned the incomparably enormous mountain range. Xiao Yan's control over his spiritual strength could be considered to have reached the pinnacle. An endless amount of spiritual strength covered the mountain range like densely packed small snakes. Due to him having temporarily merged with Little Yi, his spiritual strength could even penetrate deep underground and use the magma underground to detect the activity in it. With the help from Little Yi, Xiao Yan's current spiritual strength could encompass the area within tens of thousands of kilometers around him. As long as Jiyu Yang had yet to escape from this mountain range, it would be impossible for him to hide from the probing spiritual perception from Xiao Yan. Xuan could vaguely sense a kind of invisible spiritual strength penetrating through her body after she saw Xiao Yan sit down. She quickly took a couple of steps closer. Her face cautiously observed her surroundings. Xuan, we can't find him. Jiyu Qingyang and the others suddenly rushed over from all directions with ugly expressions while Xiao Yan was probing. They spoke with dissatisfaction. They had basically searched the entire mountain range, but they were still unable to discover Jiyu Yang. Xuan knitted her brow. She gently waved her hand. Her pretty eyes looked towards Xiao Yan. Currently, her father and the 3 grand elders of the Jiyu clan had been held back by the Han clan. Whether they could find Jiyu Yang would depend on Xiao Yan. Jiyu Qingyang and the rest understood something after seeing Xuan's eyes. They nodded quietly and did not utter anything to disturb Xiao Yan. This silence continued for around 10 minutes. Jiyu Qingyang and the rest were about to involuntarily return to searching the mountain when Xiao Yan's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. His palms suddenly slammed onto the ground. Immediately, a mountain that was 100,000 feet away suddenly exploded. Hot magma surged from it. A figure was also shot out from it in a somewhat miserable manner. Jiyu Yang. The expressions of Xuan and the rest quickly became cold as they looked at the figure hiding in the magma. Continuing from the previous episode 663. Chapter 1592. Snatching the Jade. Black submerged army. Capture him. Xuan's cold cry sounded almost immediately after the figure shot out from within the mountain. She did not find that figure unfamiliar. Spirit restraining net. Many figures flew over the sky after Xuan's cold cry sounded. An orderly loud roar sounded while powerful Do-Chi swiftly formed into a huge Do-Chi net in the sky. Finally, it came pressing over that figure from all directions. The huge net contained a special fluctuation. If one was caught within the web, one would fall into the hands of the many black submerged army's warriors and have difficulty escaping. Explode. That figure did not appear to panic in the face of the huge energy net. His hands formed some seals and dozens of ferocious winds shot out. The wind continuously shot towards the various parts of the net. Soon after, the wind whistled and actually forced the huge net back. After which, he hurriedly lifted his head and looked at the distant sky. His body moved and his speed was raised to the limit as he hurried towards the sky. It's pointless. He is extremely familiar with the black submerged army's spirit restraining net. His attack completely targeted the weak spots on the net. Jiyu Qingyang's expression sunk after he saw that the huge Do-Chi net, which was formed by gathering the Do-Chi of many warriors from the black submerged army, being torn apart with such ease. Humph! Jiyu Yang, you traitor! Jiyu Yang quickly rushed towards the sky. Jiyu Dao trio had also discovered him. Their expressions quickly turned cold. However, they were just about to attack when 3 of the 4 demon saints appeared in front of them in a ghost-like manner. The last person formed a hand seal and a 10,000 feet large black light spluttered out from his palm and violence smashed onto the defensive light barrier. The frightening strength torn a crack line on the defense barrier. Don't let him escape. The sky was a complete chaos. Xuan waved her hand. Although the Jiyu clan had many experts, many of the experts were unable to leave their position on the formation due to their need to defend against the Han clan. However, they, who belonged to the younger generation, could act. Xuan was the first to hurry forward after her cry sounded. Jiyu Qingyang and the rest hurriedly followed from behind. We should also fight. Huo Zan on the stone platform of the training ground spoke in a deep voice after seeing this scene. His body quickly moved and the huge fire wings on his back were spread. He hurried towards the figure in the sky. Huo Ya and the few experts from the Yan clan behind him also attacked at the same time. Big brother Lei Dong, what should we do? The younger generation from the Lei clan had also become a little absent-minded from the shock of this big battle. Lei Yun hesitated for a moment before asking. All of you should remain here. I will fight. Lei Dong knitted his brow tightly and cried out softly. A silver light flashed over his body. After which, he rushed forward. The other members of the Lei clan could only nod helplessly upon seeing this. Given their strength, they would be seriously injured if Ji Yu Yang was to even touch them. This would end up being a burden to the rest. That figure in the sky was hurrying towards the crack line torn open by one of the 4 demon saints of the Han clan, Han Yan. However, he was still 1,000 feet from the crack line when a couple of sharp winds suddenly appeared from behind him. They ruthlessly struck towards his fatal spots. At that moment, he could only pause his body and wave his sleeve. The few wind disappeared. However, in that instant, Xuan-Er's group had arrived in a flash and surrounded him. Elder Ji Yu Yang, why have you done such a rebellious act? Xuan-Er's stern cry sounded. Her pretty eyes contained some fury as she looked at the old man, who was in a messy state. He, do you really think that I am the real Ji Yu Yang? That old man, who was in a mess, involuntarily laughed in a strange manner after hearing Xuan-Er's reprimand. The gap between the hair that was hung in front of his face revealed a pair of densely cold eyes. These eyes were completely different from the friendliness of the past. Xuan-Er's group shrunk their eyes. Their hearts involuntarily felt a chill. This Ji Yu Yang was indeed an elder of the Ji Yu clan. If he was a fake, would it not mean that all the secrets of the Ji Yu clan during the many years had been completely spread to the Han clan? Ji Yu Yang's soul had been forcefully merged with me in the hands of Nihility Sir 100 years ago. I have been living in isolation during these years and did not dare to appear in front of Ji Yu Yuan and the others. Fortunately, I have finally managed to wait for this day. Ji Yu Yang laughed strangely. His body pulled backwards after his voice sounded. At the same time, many bright Do-Chi pillars shot out from the palm of Xuan-Er's group. They crossed each other and ruthlessly strike towards Ji Yu Yang. A group of young fellows actually intends to hold me back? Ji Yu Yang laughed out loud. His palm violently pressed under him and the space was distorted in an instant. It directly solidified and blocked the many Do-Chi pillars. I shall take my leave first. Ji Yu Yang once again laughed after blocking the attacks of Xuan-Er's group. He turned around and left. However, he was turning his body when a fist containing a pink flame directly tore open the space in front of him and smashed onto his chest with lightning-like speed. The hot wind had incinerated the Do-Chi defense over Ji Yu Yang's body within the blink of an eye. A blood-red handprint appeared on his chest. Trying to leave? Do you think that it is so easy? Xiao Yan stepped on the air and looked at the miserable-looking Ji Yu Yang with a cold smile. The ferocious aura of a 6-star Do Sheng erupted from him, pressuring Ji Yu Yang until the latter's expression changed drastically. Elder Han Yan, save me! The powerful aura around Xiao Yan's body allowed Ji Yu Yang to understand that he was definitely no match for the former in a fight. The latter hurriedly cried out, "Brat, how dare you spoil the plans of my Han clan? You are seeking death." Han Yan had naturally clearly seen the events that had transpired. He was extremely furious after seeing Ji Yu Yang being stopped. This was especially the case when the person stopping Ji Yu Yang was Xiao Yan, who had managed to escape from his hands. A furious cry sounded and his finger pressed on the air. An unusually deep black light shot out. Finally, it rushed forward at a speed not visible to the naked eye. Withering death finger. Xiao Yan's body had turned into a pink glass-like manner the moment Han Yan attacked. His aura also soared suddenly. He pressed his finger forward for a couple of times, yellow spring finger. Bang bang! An incomparably huge energy finger broke through the air as Xiao Yan pressed his fingers continuously. One finger after another was pressed violently onto the unusual black light. Immediately, both parties clashed. The yellow spring finger collapsed. Due to its large numbers, it managed to forcefully receive all of Han Yan's attack after destroying 5 large energy fingers. Han Yan's expression suddenly sunk after he saw that Xiao Yan had directly received his attack head-on. Some surprise surged within his eyes. Back when they were at the Yao clan, Xiao Yan still needed to borrow the strength of the heavenly flame in order to push him back. Now, however, the other party was already able to rely on his own strength to put up some resistance. This improvement was a little too shocking. I will just see how many figures you can receive today. Han Yan's eyes flickered. Black light surged from his finger. Xiao Yan's strength was at the most at the 6-star Do Sheng class. It had only been raised to this level through the use of secret technique. However, Xiao Yan was still greatly lacking if he wished to rely on this to fight Han Yan head-on. Han Yan did not give Xiao Yan any time to catch his breath as he let out a cold cry. He pressed his 10 fingers. Immediately, 10 black lights shot out and swiftly struck through the crack in the defense. After which, all of them targeted Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's eyes hardened as he watched this scene. He curled his palm and gathered a fire lotus. Before his fire lotus could be formed, however, a strong figure suddenly rushed over. A punch was thrown and a seemingly mountain-like vast and mighty aura came pressing downwards. It actually shattered those 10 black rays of light. Han Yan, allow me to fight with you. Attacking a member of the younger generation does not show that you are capable. Humph, Gu Lai, you, the Black Submerged King, has not improved much during these years. Han Yan's expression was altered slightly. Ash looked at the mountain-like heavy figure. Black Submerged King? The Black Submerged Army Top General? This Gu clan does indeed have many experts. Xiao Yan was startled as he looked at the back of the figure in front of him. He had never seen this person in the Gu clan. Young friend Xiao Yan, I will leave Gu Yang to you. You must snatch back the ancient jade. The Black Submerged King swayed in the wind. He spoke in a deep voice without turning back. After which, he stepped forward and directly engaged in an intense battle with Han Yan. Xiao Yan nodded. He did not have the energy to pay attention to the fight between those two. Turning around, he looked at Gu Yang, who was in a terrible state, with a cold smile. Xuan and the rest had also encircled around him and completely surrounded him. Gu Yang watched the encirclement around him. A ferocious expression suddenly flashed over his face. He stepped on the air and his body actually rushed towards the energy barrier in the sky. Xiao Yan's face turned cold after seeing that this person was actually planning to force his way in. Hot flame whistled out from him and smashed onto Gu Yang's body with lightning-like speed. Blood and flesh scattered immediately. Gu Yang's body was covered with blood after facing the intense attack from Xiao Yan's group. However, the ferocity and craziness on his face became increasingly intense. His seemingly crippled-like body was still 1,000 feet from the barrier when it actually began to swell rapidly. He is about to self-destruct. The expressions of Xiao Yan's group changed immediately upon seeing this scene. The self-destruct from an advanced 5-star Do Sheng had quite a powerful force. Everyone quickly slowed down. Bang! Gu Yang's body had swiftly exploded apart while Xiao Yan's group had reduced their speed. A frightening, uncontrolled, violent assault shattered the energy barrier in the blink of an eye. Energy raged and a blood glow suddenly shot out. After which, they rushed towards the few battlegrounds in the sky in a crazy manner. The ancient jade is inside. Stop him! Xiao Yan's sharp eyes immediately saw a palm-sized crystal-clear ancient jade being wrapped within the blood glow. It was surprisingly the She ancient god jade from the Gu clan. That fellow had actually chose to self-destruct in order to deliver the ancient jade. Continuing from the previous episode 664. Chapter 1593. Losing the Jade. Swoosh. The bright light was just like a falling star as it swept through the sky with lightning-like speed, attracting the eyes of everyone present. Xiao Yan was the fastest to react. The wings behind him flapped suddenly the moment the red light tore through the energy barrier and escaped. Within a couple of flashes, he had appeared a short distance from the bloodlight. He curled his hand and a suction force was emitted. The speed at which the red light flew out was greatly diminished. Humph! A somewhat cold snort suddenly descended from the sky while Xiao Yan was stopping the red light. At the same time, waves after waves of dangerous feeling quickly surged out from within his heart. Bang! A feeling of danger had just appeared in his heart when the light above his head suddenly became dim. Soon after, the sky above Xiao Yan's head suddenly exploded apart. A white jade-like hand was extended from the sky. It grabbed at Xiao Yan and the destructive strength contained within the palm wind caused even Xiao Yan's exterminating fire lotus to be unable to catch up. Hun Tiandi! Such a frightening pressure immediately caused this name to flash within Xiao Yan's heart. Only Gu Yuan and this person could be able to use such a frightening energy as they pleased. Withdraw. Xiao Yan did not pause even briefly in the face of the white jade-like hand. His body directly pulled backwards. He understood that with his strength, it was impossible for him to fight with Han Tiandi. It was likely even extremely difficult for him to stop this person for even a moment. The name of the ultimate expert on the Doqi continent was not simply an empty one. Xiao Yan was not slow, but that large hand was even faster. It directly tore through the space and grabbed downwards. However, the space around Xiao Yan fluctuated intensely just as the large hand was about to grab downwards. Immediately, another large palm tore through the space and collided violently with the clear white large hand. Bang! The two collided ferociously. An extermination storm quickly swept apart. Xiao Yan's expression changed drastically upon sensing the terrifying storm. His body hurriedly pulled back as he feared getting dragged into the fight. Han Tiandi, since you wish to start a war, my Jiyu clan will accompany you till the end. Jiyu Yuan's stern cry, which seemed to vaguely contain a trace of fury, sounded in the sky after the large hands collided. Ha ha! You should have uttered these words back then when the Xiao clan had been destroyed by our Han clan. Saying these words now is a little too late. Han Tiandi's faint laughter sounded in the sky. After his voice sounded, many huge spatial cracks were suddenly rapidly formed in the empty space. Black fog surged out from within in all directions. Waves after waves of unusually powerful dark and cold auras spread from within the crack line. Has the Han clan's army been mobilized? Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly after he sensed the number of powerful auras within the crack lines. Ow! Black fog surged out from the cracks like floodwaters the moment they appeared. Finally, the swiftly turned into 100,000 feet large black seal. The black seal was suspended in the sky. The huge shadow completely covered this mountain range. Activate the formation. Seeing the huge black seal suspended in the sky, the expressions of all the experts within the Jiyu clan had become grave. The Han clan had indeed come prepared. Fortunately, the experts from the Jiyu clan had already received their orders. Many loud cries immediately sounded. Boom boom! Light curtains suddenly surged from the mountains after the cries sounded. Waves after waves of powerful majestic energy, which caused one to shudder, turned into light pillar that whistled upwards. Finally, it flew into the sky and formed a gorgeous ancient mirror, which size was not inferior to the black seal. Light sparkled on the mirror, which was filled with a shocking energy fluctuation. Exterminating seal. The black seals in the sky shook. Suddenly, a low and sharp voice that seemed to belong to tens of thousands of individuals was emitted from within the crack lines. Immediately, the black seal directly descended from the sky. It was as though a disaster had fell onto this mountain range. The area within hundreds of thousands of feet would have been destroyed in an instant if the black seal struck the ground. GUD's mirror. All the experts from the Jiyu clan maintaining the formation had reddened faces at this moment. Their furious cry resounded over the sky. Immediately, an incomparably huge brilliant ancient mirror appeared and collided heavily with the black seal in front of many anxious pairs of eyes. Rumble. The entire world seemed to have collapsed at this moment. An indescribable destructive fluctuation raged crazily. Even though the ancient world is strong, many dark black cracks had been formed at this moment. Two huge creatures had violently collided in the sky. Immediately, they collapsed under the raging storm. Grug. Many experts from the Jiyu clan below ended up spitting out a mouthful of blood after the ancient mirror collapsed. The space cracks, which were filled with black fog, also emitted many sharp miserable wails. Clearly, the all-out fight between the two clans this time around had resulted in quite a great loss. The extermination storm raged within the sky. Even the battlegrounds had been suppressed by it. The three immortals of the Jiyu clan and the four demon saints of the Han clan withdrew their bodies while wearing frightened expressions. Despite their strength, they would likely end up dying if they were to be struck by this extermination storm. The only people who could remain fine under this extermination storm were Han Tiandi, Jiyu Yuan and the Nihility devouring flame. Xiao Yan hid within the formation. He looked at the extermination fluctuation that was spreading wildly in the distant sky like a furious roaring dragon. His expression was grave. Was this an attack that was unleashed with the strength of the entire clan? That earlier attack was definitely comparable to a 9-star Do Sheng. After the numbers reached a certain level, it was indeed sufficient to create a significant change. Where is the ancient jade? The solemn expression on Xiao Yan's face continued for an instant before he suddenly turned his eyes. Finally, they paused on the spot outside of the extermination storm in the sky. A weak red light was vaguely visible at that spot. While Xiao Yan saw the position of the ancient jade, the nihility devouring flame, who was still entangled in a battle with the clan heads of the Lei and Yan clans, suddenly pulled back. The area behind him was the location of the ancient jade. "Stop him. He intends to snatch the ancient jade." Xiao Yan hurriedly cried out with a change in expression upon seeing this scene. Lei Ying and Yan Jin had a slight change in expression after hearing Xiao Yan's cry. Their bodies immediately rushed forward. Lightning calamity palm, descending flame mysterious finger, the two of them unleashed a sharp attack simultaneously while their bodies moved. A huge bright lightning palm and blinding fire glow flashed through the empty space at a speed undetectable to the naked eye and swiftly hurried towards the nihility devouring flame. Humph! The nihility devouring flame had a slightly cold expression as he faced the sharp attacks from the two of them. However, he did not dodge. Instead, his body shook. Countless black spirals appeared in the space around him. Bang bang bang! A frightening attack suddenly arrived. Densely packed black hole ripples continued to explode continuously. Although the black hole had hindered the attacking speed, this was merely a way to delay time. Once the black holes completely collapsed, the lightning palm and the fire finger immediately landed on the back of the nihility devouring flame. A frightening strength exploded on the nihility devouring flame's back. Black flame shot out in all directions. Even with the great strength of the nihility devouring flame, he involuntarily staggered after being struck heavily by Lei Ying and Yan Jin. His body also became paler. With the help of this force, his body appeared at the red light in a flash. His mouth widened and swallowed the ancient jade into his mouth. The nihility devouring flame laughed out loud after the ancient jade landed in his hands. The four demon saints from the Han clan rushed forward and guarded him. Their eyes were cautiously looking at Lei Ying and Yan Jin, who were giving chase. "He, have you beaten till your fill? Be rest assured I will definitely make you repay this palm strike today many times over." The expression of the nihility devouring flame had become dark and cold as he looked at Lei Ying and Yan Jin and laughed in a strange voice. Lei Ying's and Yan Jin's expressions were unusually ugly. It was unexpected that the two of them combined were unable to stop the nihility devouring flame. Instead, they had allowed the latter to snatch his ancient jade. "Let's go!" The nihility devouring flame did not linger for long after getting hold of the ancient jade. His body moved and he hurried into the spatial crack. Halt! The space fluctuated just as the nihility devouring flame moved. Ji Yuan appeared. His expression seemed slightly gloomy. Before he could attack, the grayish-white clothed Han Tiandi appeared in front of him. He had received Ji Yuan's attack with a flip of his hand. After which, his body drifted backwards. Black fog surged from the spatial crack behind him. A huge black seal was once again formed. Ji Yuan's body trembled as he looked at the black seal which was formed. The experts from the Ji clan below hurriedly formed the ancient mirror in an attempt to defend against the exterminating attack from the Ji clan upon seeing this. "Ji Yuan, I have said that the Ji clan had lost the best opportunity to fight the Han clan when the Xiao clan was destroyed." Han Tiandi laughed faintly as he looked at the gloomy Ji Yuan and slowly said, "The two Shi ancient god mansion will ultimately land in the hands of my Han clan. Ji Yuan, I will advance into that level, trust me. The ancient jade is separated into 8 pieces. You have only obtained 5 of them. There is no need to act in such a pleased manner." Ji Ying cried out in a cold voice. "Is that so?" A strange smile surfaced on Han Tiandi's face after he heard this. He immediately spoke softly. "The clan heads of the Lei and Yan clan has left their clans. Do you think that the Han clan will not grasp such an opportunity?" "What?" Lei Ying's and Yan Jin's body trembled upon hearing these words. Their expressions became extremely grave. Could it be that the Han clan had also attacked the Yan and Lei clans while attacking the Ji clan? Han Tiandi merely smiled faintly in the face of the shock from the two of them. He slowly withdrew into the spatial crack line with the nihility devouring flame and the others. Even Ji Yuan did not dare to simply attack under the deterrence from the huge black seal. That's right. Han Tiandi's eyes suddenly turned towards Xiao Yan, who was in the formation, just as his body was about to disappear into the crack line. "You are Xiao Yan, right? The ancient jade of the Xiao clan should be in your hands." Oh, half a month later, at the Burial Sky Mountain Range. Bring the ancient jade over if you wish to rescue your father. Han Tiandi completely disappeared into the spatial crack after his voice slowly sounded. The huge black seal in the sky trembled before slowly vanishing. Continuing from the previous episode 665. Chapter 1594. Discussion. The entire mountain range was unusually quiet as everyone watched the spatial crack in the sky slowly being closed up. Many experts in the GU clan had gloomy expressions. Although the GU clan was not destroyed by the Han clan like the Ling clan, they had still lost the ancient jade. From a certain point of view, the GU clan had suffered quite a big loss in the fight with the Han clan. The light throughout the mountains slowly disappeared. Finally, it completely disappeared. It was fortunately that there was proper command. Otherwise, the entire mountain range would have been turned into dust in the battle. This would be considered a big loss to the GU clan. Xiao Yan's fist was tightly clenched after he saw the light curtain disappeared. The Han clan was indeed planning to use his father to exchange for the ancient jade. Half a month later, Xiao Yan pressed his lips tightly together. A chillness surged within his eyes. Gu Yuan's expression was gloomy as he watched the spot where the crack had disappeared in the sky. He did not speak. The three immortals of the Gu clan behind him also sighed quietly. The Han clan had indeed been hiding their strength during these years. Who could have expected that the nihility-devouring flame had not only been fully recuperated but had even advanced into the 9-star Do Sheng? If it was not because Lei Ying and Yan Jin had fought today, it was likely that this would be an extremely intense big battle. After the disappearance of the Han clan, the rings on Lei Ying's and Yan Jin's fingers suddenly lit up as they stood on the other side. A spiritual fluctuation containing some information was transmitted into their minds. Their expressions became dark and cold as they sensed this information. The Lei clan had lost its ancient jade. The Yan clan too. The faces of the Gu clan's three immortals twitched involuntarily after hearing their words. Some shock surged within their eyes. Han Tiandi was indeed telling the truth. They had also struck the Yan and Lei clans when they were attacking the Gu clan. The ancient jades of the two clans had been places in the most tightly guarded place. The Han clan had launched such a large-scale attack on the Gu clan. Where would they find such a strength to attack separately? Gu Dao involuntarily opened his mouth and said, "Based on the information I received, the clan also had an elder who had suddenly betrayed us. He stole the ancient jade and fled. Moreover, he was subsequently received by the experts from the Han clan." Lei Ying's expression was frighteningly guarded. He did not expect that such an incident had also occurred in the Lei clan. "We have all underestimated the Han clan," Yan Jin slowly said. The strength that the Han clan had displayed caused even him to feel a little grave. "We will discuss this in the hall. Now that things had developed until this stage, there is already no room for us to retreat. Given the Han clan's techniques, it is obvious that they will not allow us to survive." Gu Yuan's expression gradually became calm. He waved his hand and allowed Gu Dao to settle the situation. After which, he turned his body and hurried towards the large hall. His voice was emitted when he entered the hall, "Xiao Yan, you should also come in." Xiao Yan suppressed the churning emotions within his heart as he looked at the others entering the hall one after another. He swiftly followed. Xuanur hesitated for a moment before following him. Everyone were a little quiet as they watched this scene. They vaguely sensed that the peaceful days of the past was gradually about to disappear. Everyone took their seats within the hall. However, the atmosphere continued to remain solemn because of the earlier incident. "Everyone, there is no need to utter any nice words at this moment. Everyone should be clearly aware of the Han clan's techniques. I have never underestimated the Han clan before, but I have also never been able to clearly understand them. This is the most terrifying aspect of the Han clan." Gu Yuan sighed as he looked at the somewhat grave hall. He shook his head and said, "Han Tiandi might be right. If I had been a little firmer when the Xiao clan and the Han clan were engaging in a big war, the situation would likely be very different." Xiao Yan was quiet. He did not really understand the matter back then. Hence, he was unable to say anything. The 8 ancient clans had not been harmonious since the beginning. There had been many conflicts between them. Hence, no one had the right to blame any party for not lending a hand in a conflict. Moreover, they had also begun to taste the result of the Xiao clan being eliminated. It is likely that even the Gu clan could not match the strength that the Han clan had displayed. Currently, there is likely no single faction on the Do Chi continent that could fight the Han clan by itself. Even the GU clan is unable to. Of course, even if my GU clan ends up being completely destroyed, the Hun clan will definitely have to pay a severe price for doing so. GU Yuan's expression was grave as he spoke. The big battle today could be considered an initial exchange between the two clans. Although the Hun clan's army did not appear, it had still unleashed an attack across the spatial crack. However, the most troublesome people to deal with were Hun Tiandi and the Nihility Devouring Flame. The latter had been seriously injured by him back then. No one could have imagined that he had not only fully recovered but had even stepped into the 9-star Do Shen class. In this way, he had completely broken the weak equilibrium of both parties. Both he and Hun Tiandi were at the advanced 9-star Do Shen class. There was not much of a gap between them. Unless they engaged in a true life and death struggle, no one would be able to do anything to the other. If a Nihility Devouring Flame was added, he would not be able to fight with the two of them combined with his strength. Hence, forming an alliance was the only method to deal with the Hun clan. The Nihility Devouring Flame had once devoured a Tuling king, hence, he possessed the ability of the Tuling clan. In the eyes of the Hun clan, us, the ancient clans, are equivalent to their bloodline spring. Everyone might not be happy with this status. Since that is the case, there is only one path for us to take. It is to destroy the Hun clan. A dense murderous desire suddenly surged within the hall after the words sounded. It caused one's skin to turn a little cold. Elder Gu Yuan, you mean, an alliance to fight with the Hun clan together? Lei Ying asked. There is no other choice but this. The strength that the Hun clan has displayed today is extremely great. Moreover, no one knows if there is any other trump cards within the Hun clan. One really have a difficult time grasping this mysterious clan. Gu Yuan slowly said. Lei Ying and Yan Jin were quiet. If this was really the case, it would be an absolute disaster for both their clans. They would definitely not allow their clan to be a bloodline spring in the eyes of the Hun clan. The matter of an alliance is possible. Currently, the Hun clan already possess 7 of the 8 jade pieces. If they were to obtain the last piece, they would be able to know where the 2 She Ancient God Jade is located and open it. It is rumored that the cave has the secret to advance into the Do D class. If Hun Tiandi is allowed to obtain it, perhaps, it will really be as he had said. He will advance into the Do D class, which no one had reached in 10,000 years. Yan Jin licked his mouth and said, at that time, the entire continent will completely fall under the control of the Hun clan. Everyone was quiet. If Hun Tiandi really advanced into that level, it was likely that all of them would lose any ability to retaliate. In front of the legendary Do Di, even the ancient clans were not worth mentioning. At that time, it was likely that he would be able to easily eliminate all the ancient clans with the flip of his hand. The final piece of jade should be on Xiao Yan, right? Everyone's eyes suddenly turned towards Xiao Yan. They had all heard the words Hun Tiandi had left behind before he left. Xiao Yan frowned slightly in the face of the many pairs of eyes. He spoke in a deep voice, I must rescue my father. Xiao Yan's voice was soft, but there was an unshakable firmness within it. You should be aware of the result if Hun Tiandi is allowed to open the 2 She Ancient God Mansion. Yan Jin's bright red eyebrow trembled and said. Xiao Yan was quiet. However, he continued shaking his head. The final piece of ancient jade will definitely remain on his body. His father had already been captured by the Hun clan for over a decade. Each time he thought of this, his heart began to feel a little twisted. Moreover, he also understood that the ancient jade was the protective charm of his father. If it was not because the ancient jade was in his hand, it was likely that his father would have already met his demise. Gu Yuan's eyes stared at Xiao Yan. A moment later, he could only smile bitterly and sigh. Currently, Xiao Yan was no longer alone like he was back then. His current strength was not only able to fight them head-on, but there was also an extremely powerful Sky Mansion alliance behind him. If the 3 ancient clans wished to fight the Hun clan, the Sky Mansion alliance would definitely be of a great help. Hence, attempting to snatch the ancient jade was something that they could not do no matter how they looked at it. Now, the only thing we can do is to quickly gather helpers. The army will gather in half a month. We must definitely snatch some ancient jade from the hands of the Hun clan. Gu Yuan sighed and said. Lei Ying and Yan Jin shook upon hearing this. In this way, they would truly engage in a war with the Hun clan in half a month's time? Xiao Yan clenched his fist. An icy cold hand was extended from beside him and grabbed his arm. He turned his head and glanced at Xu En'er beside him. Suddenly he looked at Ji Yuan and said, "Uncle Ji Yu, do you know if there is any method that can allow the ancestor of the Shao clan, Shao Zan, in the heavenly tomb to be revived?" Ji Yuan, Lei Ying and the others in the hall felt their hands trembled upon hearing the words, Shao Zan. That name continued to be deeply ingrained in their minds even after thousands of years. That was the only person who had nearly managed to kill Han Tiandi in the many years that had passed. From a certain point of view, Shao Zan in the heavenly tomb is merely a soul fragment. He is only able to exist and possess his strength due to the unique aspect of the heavenly tomb. Trying to revive him, I'm afraid that it will be impossible. Ji Yuan sighed and said, if it was possible to revive Shao Zan, they would not find it so troublesome to deal with Han Tiandi. Xiao Yan's eyes immediately revealed a disappointment upon hearing this. He was quiet for a moment before he spoke again. I wish to enter the heavenly tomb again. May I know if Uncle Ji Yu has any way to do so? Ji Yuan was startled. He hesitated for a moment before nodding slowly. If you insist on doing so, I will be able to send you in. Perhaps, you can find Shao Zan and see if he has any way to revive himself. Continuing from the previous episode 666. Chapter 1595. Re-entering the Heavenly Tomb. A couple of figures were suspending in the air in the deep mountains of the Ji clan. Their eyes were looking towards the space above the mountain range. It seemed as though their eyes were able to penetrate through the space and look at the figure, which had once been all-powerful on the central plains. Their expressions were somewhat complicated. Xiao Yan, the heavenly tomb will open once every 20 years. If we count the time, there is still quite a while before it will be opened again. Ji Yuan placed both of his hands behind him. His eyes shifted from the space as he said, however, I will forcefully tear open a crack line in the heavenly tomb and allow you to enter. However, you must remember not to remain for more than a year in the heavenly tomb. Otherwise, you will be rejected by the heavenly tomb. I have troubled Uncle Ji Yu. Xiao Yan nodded. 1 day in the heavenly tomb was equivalent to 5 days in the outside world. 1 year inside was equivalent to slightly over 2 months in the outside world. However, the Han clan only gave him half a month's time. It was naturally impossible for him to remain for such a long time inside the heavenly tomb. Are you sure that you don't require anyone to accompany you in? Ji Yuan inquired again. Xiao Yan smiled and shook his head. With his current strength, it was likely that no one other than Shao Zan could harm him within the heavenly tomb. Ji Yuan did not say anything more after seeing Xiao Yan's insistence. He waved his hand and the natural energy whistled past. One could vaguely hear a whistling sound being emitted. Soon after, the empty space suddenly fluctuated intensely. A dark black crack line was forcefully torn apart. There was an unusual ancient and desolate feeling spreading from within. Xiao Yan, return quickly. Ji Yuan cried out in a deep voice as he looked at the spatial crack line which he had torn apart. Xiao Yan nodded. He did not hesitate. His hand gently patted Xu En'er beside him before he moved. He turned into a ray of light, which directly shot into the crack and disappeared. Ji Yuan's hand touched the empty space after seeing Xiao Yan vanish into the spatial crack. The crack slowly disappeared. He looked at the worried Xu En'er and involuntarily laughed. Relax, nothing will happen to him. Xu En'er nodded gently after hearing this. The heavenly tomb was covered by a misty fog. Loneliness and silence seemed to be the only thing present in this world. The misty space suddenly became distorted. A figure stepped on the air and appeared. His eyes glanced at this somewhat familiar environment and involuntarily sighed. He merely had the strength of a Dozun when he had arrived in the place the last time. Now, however, he had already become an expert at the top of the Do-Chi continent. Xiao Yan's eyes swept around him as he sighed. His vast and mighty spiritual strength spread. The pair of bone wings on his back flapped and he turned into a storm that swiftly rushed towards the deep parts of the heavenly tomb. The heavenly tomb storm, which appeared extremely dangerous in his eyes back then, did not possess the slightest threat to him now. The heavenly tomb contained countless of energy bodies. It did not lack some powerful existences. However, even these existences involuntarily revealed a shock after sensing the powerful pressure flying across the sky. None of them dared to intervene and stop the figure. All they could do was to simply watch the figure, which disappeared into the distance in the blink of an eye. With Xiao Yan's current speed and his unobstructed path, he had reached the deep parts of the heavenly tomb within a short hour. When he had first entered the heavenly tomb, he had spent many months in order to reach this place. A human figure wearing a blood-colored armor was sitting on a towering stone pillar in a chaotic rubble area deep within the heavenly tomb. A blood blade containing a rich bloody scent was beside him. There were many energy bodies present around the chaotic rubble. However, their faces were afraid as they looked at the blood-colored human figure. None of them dared to disturb him. Kai, there were many figures within the chaotic rubble region, but none of them dared to speak loudly. Hence, the hurried rushing wind sound in the sky caused many of the energy bodies in this region, who had reached the peak of the 9-change Dozun class, to suddenly stand up. Their eyes revealed a cold glint as they looked in the direction where the rushing wind sound had come from. This was the territory of the Saint Shui Dao. Who dared to act in such a presumptuous manner? The blood-colored armored human figures opened his eyes as the energy bodies revealed a fierce glint. He frowned and looked at the direction where the sound had originated from. Immediately, a cold snort sounded. The blood blade beside him flew out and turned into a blood glow, which shot towards the source of the sound. Kai, the blood light shot into the dense fog. Before others could flatter him, however, the blood light was shot backwards. One could hear a clang sound as the blood blade was shot into the stone pillar below the blood-colored human figure. Even the hilt of the blade had been deeply inserted into the pillar. Ha ha, Saint Shui Dao, it has been many years since we have met, but you need not receive me so warmly, do you? Saint Shui Dao had a change in expression when a soft laughter suddenly sounded. Immediately, a skinny figure stepped on the empty air and slowly appeared in front of him. That somewhat familiar young face caused Saint Shui Dao to be startled. It's a human. What delicious flesh. Those surrounding energy bodies had reddened eyes after seeing this figure. Their crimson eyes were filled with greed. Some of the bold ones had even involuntarily stepped forward. You are that little fellow from the Xiao clan back then? Saint Shui Dao looked at the young figure and his eyes suddenly widened. His face was filled with disbelief. Back then, Xiao Yan was merely only a Dozun. The latter did not even have the ability to retaliate in his hand. Yet, now that they had met again, he was able to sense an extreme danger from Xiao Yan. That feeling allowed him to understand that Xiao Yan's strength had currently far surpassed him. Get lost! This is the young master of the Xiao clan. Do you dare touch him? Saint Shui Dao suddenly saw those energy bodies encircling around Xiao Yan after he was momentarily stunned. His expression immediately became cold. With a wave of his sleeve, he directly sent those energy bodies flying. Immediately, he hurried to his feet and spoke politely to Xiao Yan. It is likely that brother Xiao Yan is here to find Xiao Zhan, right? Ha ha, there are still some troublesome fellows behind. Please allow me to lead the way to avoid delaying your time. What do you say? Ha ha, in that case, I will trouble you. Xiao Yan smiled. He did not reject the aid of Saint Shui Dao. It was indeed possible for him to sense many powerful existences in the deep region. Although he was unafraid, he did not wish to waste time in this place. This is a small matter. Brother, you are a descendant of Xiao Zhan. Anyone who attacks you in this heavenly tomb will only end up dying. Saint Shui Dao smiled, after which, his body floated and he rushed towards the deep region. Xiao Yan also quickly followed from behind. There were many powerful energy bodies deep within the heavenly tomb. There were even some existence comparable to elite Do Sheng's present. They had sensed Xiao Yan the moment the latter stepped into the deep region. However, they were about to surround him and eat his flesh when they hurriedly withdrew in shock from some soft words from Saint Shui Dao. He is a descendant of the great Xiao Zhan. The simple words caused those overlord-level energy body existences within the heavenly tomb to have a change in expression because of shock. All of them turned around and fled faster than anything else. These old demons had existed within the heavenly tomb for an unknown number of years. They clearly understood just who was the overlord of the heavenly tomb. Xiao Yan had walked to the deepest part of the heavenly tomb unobstructed under the lead of Saint Shui Dao. He once again saw the ancient tomb which he had seen back then on a desolated plain. Brother, I will take my leave. Saint Shui Dao did not dare to step forward after reaching a spot 10,000 feet from the tomb. He spoke softly to Xiao Yan before bowing and slowly stepping back. His face was filled with an extremely rich fear and respect since the beginning. Xiao Yan watched the tomb in the distance. He involuntarily lamented. This ancestor of the Shao clan was indeed an extremely outstanding person. Not only was he all-powerful when he was alive, but he could still be considered a dominant ghost even though only a soul fragment remained. No wonder, even someone as strong as Gu Yuan could only sigh emotionally when the great name of this person was mentioned. Xiao Yan walked closer to the tomb. Both of his knees gently knelt on the ground. He kowtowed to the tomb and softly said, "This descendant Xiao Yan greets ancestor." "Stop kneeling, little fellow." Xiao Yan's voice had just sounded when a faint laughter sounded beside him. He lifted his head and saw a figure leaning against the tomb. Black hair was scattered on his shoulder, giving him a free and easy appearance. The warm smile contained on his face was inspiring. This figure was that of Xiao Zhan, whom Xiao Yan had met back then. Intermediate 6-star Do Sheng, perfect heavenly state soul, purifying demonic lotus flame and a couple of other heavenly flames. Xiao Zhan's deep space-like eyes swept over Xiao Yan's body. This glance was all it took for him to completely see through Xiao Yan. He quickly smiled and nodded slowly as he praised, "Little fellow, well done." If Xiao Chen was present, it was likely that he would be a little stunned at hearing Xiao Zhan's evaluation. There had never been someone in the Shao clan back then who had obtained such an evaluation from Xiao Zhan. Xiao Yan smiled. His eyes looked at Xiao Zhan. The latter did not appear majestic, but that skinny figure seemed to be able to fight against the heavens and earth. It caused one to feel incomparably safe. "Tell me what has happened during these years." Xiao Zhan sat on the ground and laughed. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. He arranged his memories and began to speak in a steady voice as he conveyed the many experiences of his during these years and the current situation that he faced. The corner of Xiao Zhan's mouth was lifted into a smile as he heard the soul-stirring experience Xiao Yan had. His expression did not change because of any of the incidents. Currently, the Han clan is extremely powerful. My aim in coming to the heavenly tomb is to find a way to revive ancestor. If you can join the fight, even the Han clan will not be able to stir any trouble. Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with some excitement as he looked at Xiao Zhan and said,